I drank straight up in the cold.
Well, Cloud9 bring it close, but not close enough to close out on map number 1 there at Cobblestone. G2 brings it back with that play right there. Shocks brings it back seemingly from the brink to allow for G2 to claim map number 1. And now we're getting ready to jump on to Inferno, which I believe was Cloud9's map pick. And we'll see if they can fare any better here to try and take it to a map number 3. And of course, take it all the way to try to make it to the semifinals. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the DreamHack Astro Open, live from Austin. Here with Days and Days. We're now getting ready to jump into Inferno. What are going to be like the big differences here between this and Cobblestone?
Well, we'll see. I think it's going to be way more slowed down. Cloud9 played with a super fast pace on Cobble, and really G2 did as well on that T side. And you know why I think a lot of that is, and why a lot of those solo plays are working actually?
What's up?
Is because the crowd's really loud, and I think it's really hard for the players to actually hear right now. I really do. And
that's not a good thing.
Well, I mean, it's the truth, and all these players know that. It happens at a lot of events and a lot of live events like this. Like if you don't have soundproof boosts a lot of the time, like you cannot hear that player when he rushes down drop a lot of the time, and you miss a lot of those sound cues. I mean, when you're online, right, and you're just playing from the comfort of your own home, you hear that player coming from a mile away, and it's really easy to ready yourself for it. But in situations like this, a lot of the time those plays are a lot more effective because of that.
Well, there you go. A little FYI for those of you who don't have experience playing on a stage like this and whatnot. But guys, we are getting prepped to jump into it now, and you can see again the stats between these two teams. It's been, relatively even in terms, and especially like in this matchup too, it seemed like the pistol rounds were being relatively closely fought. It was kind of shut down for Cloud at the start, and for the most part in the second half, we had a shutdown by G2 as well. But it, was automatic trying to make that play at the very end. But that was a bit of an outlier.
Both T pistols, they won it, and both had, B-centric strats, but Cloud9 actually threw the E-box smoke and the sidewalk smoke, or the broken wall smoke, and they ran through both smokes to A, and I thought that was like one of the coolest pistol round strats I've seen in a bit. Cloud9's actually really creative when it comes to pistol round strats. On T-side Mirage, they did one where they went through middle towards jungle and underpass and volleyed window and smoked off cat and smoked off jungle from A ramp and went up, and a lot of people have actually copied that. So they're really innovative when it comes to their pistol rounds, but that was a really good match. And I think G2 kind of just finding that recipe for success, kind of realizing that, hey, we can make these solo plays, was a huge deal. But I think it's a lot more difficult to do that on Inferno. And I mean, this is Cloud9's map pick. So, without that factor, I think I definitely favor C9 here.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Again, we noted about Shocks quite a bit about he was able to turn that around, but it wasn't really until...
It's funny how even when he's not top fragging, we're still like, the impact was insane, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I was about to mention is I think he only ended up like second or third lowest on the overall kill count for his team, and it wasn't until the very end there we really saw him coming alive. And even so, right, even after we had that 3K round, but it was really only like 1 or 2 kills that he was getting in a lot of the rounds after that, but the kills were so important, so impactful, and it opened up so many opportunities for the rest of his team to just move in and take map control. That's what made it so impactful overall for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kenny S, just ridiculous stats.
Yeah, he was. I mentioned this, I think, as well, that he was one of the few like consistent amounts of fragging power within like the first half that we saw from that team, and that he was actually doing really good to at the very least pick up those 1 or 2 kills before going down. It was just the rest of the team that was kind of falling a bit flat there. That was what it was allowing Cloud9 to come out on top, with Shroud constantly having so much success and pushing towards past broken wall platform and whatnot. And nothing as well, especially towards the beginning there, was doing a lot of it as well.
He disappeared in the last like 10 rounds. I don't think he got a kill in the last like 9 or 10 rounds. I got a good strategy though, like advertisement-wise, Blue.
What's up?
So during like these highlight plays, when you're like, and then another insane frag, I'm just gonna be in the background and I'm gonna be like, www.youtube.com/godays, and I'll be in the highlight vids with you, just in the background, and it'll have like hundreds of thousands of plays. Could you imagine, like,
I mean, that's
the
one way.
Staticist like thing where Snacks is like, Snacks is in the Big Apple and he's hungry, but in the background I'm just there, just advertising,
just spamming your YouTube account.
It's genius.
Yeah. Well, it's one way to get done, I suppose.
It's completely shameless.
Yeah, a little bit. Get you on Reddit at least, that's for sure. But guys, it is looking like it is time to go live with the match here now. So let's jump into it. It's going to be Inferno for our second map this evening. Cloud9 facing possible elimination if they cannot claim this one. So they'll need your help in the crowd. Let's make some noise to see if Cloud9 can make a comeback or if it's going to be G2 crushing it with a 2-0 victory. G2 will get that start off on the CT side, and Cloud9's going to have to go off to offense here on Inferno.
Yeah, and they start out no B presence at all, and for G2, you know, they're very fortunate, right? There's only one player towards B right now. They have 4 players towards A, so they have a good read on this. Hall's control comes out from C9.
That's the easy portion of it. Now they've actually got to get this prep to push it onto his site here. But there's a lot of players from G2 already here. We talked about this a lot in the last set as well. Shock's already out. They know there isn't any pressure working its way up Banana at all, so they have the full 4-player commitment over here towards A, ready to defend it. Cloud9, though, just remaining completely silent in their positions in the halls and leading out even towards the balcony and whatnot as well. They have everybody set up here now for success to move in, and so are G2, so they'll move out. The battle will begin, but no one really striking upon it. Cloud9 just taking a whole lot of control, but not getting any kills. That's going to change now, though, with Automatic and Stewie picking up those kills, but NBK trying to save his team. Unfortunately, forced into a reload out in the open. That's where Stewie is going to trade him back out and give full control of the site to C9. But quickly, we'll have Shox in a retake position, but he doesn't feel safe to remain peeked out in it. He's going to have to make a move, and now it's up to the hay barrels. Well, he holds the spot, but still can't find any actual impact here. A little bit more damage going on to players inside of the pit, but ultimately, Stewie and Automatic seal the deal, and it's Cloud9 once again to claim another T-sided pistol.
Yeah, and 2 6 shots come out from, I believe that was MBK in the pit, but no kill coming from the Graveyard player. And the rotate was kind of cut off because of that moto smoke, and you know, Stewie's able to just push the site before that guy can really get there, kills him through the smoke, and you know, C9's quick aggression intake kind of stops that rotate from even mattering, even though they only had 1 towards B.
NBK going to try to make a little bit of a peek over there towards the mid choke point. He gets that kill, or gets that tag, I should say, over onto Automatic, but he's not going to be able to follow through the kill just as of yet. Smoke comes in, or excuse me, that's a nade. That's definitely going to take down Automatic.
How could you ever expect somebody to have an HE grenade in that situation? Yeah. I'm telling you, Automatic's pissed about that.
So that is going to give G2 at least a little bit of an early round advantage here. Keep in mind, still working with just the upgraded pistols, and that's all of their utility gone after that one. So a bit of a lucky break that G2, or a calculated break, one could say, that G2 actually did purchase that HE grenade and were able to use it at that position to take down Automatic. The rest of Cloud9 have moved up and is taking control of the old car position over here by Banana. But once again, G2 have weighed all of their players in the direction of this, and they're going to have a 3-man stack on the B bomb site. But some of them are changing up positions when the hit initially came in, so they're going to be a little bit confused as to the whole situation here. Body's been able to pick up 1 kill, but that's been it so far. Shox will be forced out, doesn't really get any huge amounts of damage in. Shroud is just going to take him out of the picture, and now we're only seeing 2 alive from G2 that don't have great access to the site. NBK is not going to waste a whole lot of time trying to wrap around towards Garden. He even chooses to challenge the Molly a little bit there too, but again, no real success being found in this route. And the nade revenge comes in to avenge their fallen teammate. They pick up 1 kill on their own regard against NBK.
Yeah, dangerous round though for C9. Shox, really unfortunate for him. I mean, he gets mollied out after the 2 kills already happened. He was kind of set up for success there. If they really didn't throw that Molotov, I think they would have, you know, probably went down 1, and then he stays alive, waits for his team. But that late molly, whoever threw that, you know, saved the round, I think.
Yeah. Well, that'll put G2 onto the full save here now, and they are going to be going for this full push over up towards Banana early on. But this is just to take control of that old car spot. They will move into there. No follow through just yet up onto the actual site. And for Skadoodle, just patiently waiting to see if anybody from the G2 side is going to attempt to make a little bit of a peek into mid, but not looking likely. Most of G2, again, they went for another 4-man stack towards A this time, but it's not going to be anywhere nearly as well calculated as it was on the pistol round. As this time they just send them there right from the beginning without being able to aggressively push out and correctly figure out that there isn't pressure towards B. Now really just waiting down the timer, and in a moment we are going to see Cloud9 start the push over towards the B site and leaving it all to Shox to try and defend that with just a measly little P250. Certainly not going to be looking good overall here. Cloud9 taking quite a while to get that kill, though, as they know that that's actually a little bit dangerous. The P250 can certainly take them out from that position. And, well, the presence from Shox, at least, is enough to send them back down Banana, out through mid, and it seems like they bid a little bit too heavily upon that one, as now they're going to be completely off position on the A site. Nothing will find himself a battle versus some pistols that he may be able to win, but again, no actual kills just yet. They're just hitting these players slightly. Apex down at 30. They did 10 damage to Shox earlier. Others ones, at least NBK gets out to the site, but obviously doesn't last very long. Kenny trades onto this player here as Nothing finds himself in the middle of a pretty bad situation there. He's actually going to be taken out, but after this one, it seems like we're in pretty quick control. Automatic gets himself the double, and now these last two should go down without too much of a fight, giving Cloud9 their third round.
Yeah, Shox is just terrifying enough with the P250 that they completely bail. I think they thought it was a site stack, though, because at middle, they really didn't see anything. And despite that being a little bit scary for Cloud9 there, just thinking they were going to run into a stack, G2 kind of over-rotates. And G2 with the full buy now. Kenny S is just going to get an AWP half armor, I believe. So not that much utility on them, and they only have one guy with head armor, so Stewie could find some success with this ump. Dedicated umper blue.
Yeah, I know. It's coming back again, man. This is... You might have to explain this more, as this is something from the Pro League.
I'm telling you, man, the ump is so good. Because if you have it on T side and you use it like pretty often, then the CTs all of a sudden have to buy head armor. Just throw it in there, even if you have like 6K. Just
adds all that extra money. It'll make up. It brings utility off the CTs in theory if they actually butt into it and start buying that head armor. So it's an interesting theory. The gun is certainly capable enough to find the impact with it. Well, we've got Stewie moving in now with that UMP. And he's going to waste no time pushing himself forward over to the T-Cubby. Smoke is going to get in the way, though, so he's going to have to back up on this pretty quickly afterwards, and Body will spray into it, but not going to be able to hit much.
And this is the type of B control that I expect G2 to try to challenge when they can get an double op setup and really fight Stewie at all these angles. And we're going to see, I bet it comes into play later on in this half, who can end up getting the better of each other.
G2 also going to be holding a little bit closer to mid-pressure. You can see Shox, who's almost certainly going to end up in a bit of a duel here with Nothing if he goes for this peek. Flash goes in, but it's not going to be well-positioned at all, and Nothing is 100% ready for that peek, so Shox just goes down, not even getting close to that kill there.
Look where Stewie is. He's already in CT spawn, and they have no idea.
Wrapping all the way around, this is going to be such a huge player to be able to find impact here as he leaps back in. They weren't actually ready for it, though. Kenny could hear him coming, but still, it distracts them. It allows these players to move into the site, but Apex is able to hold on for one more kill, so it leaves it even into another 2v2 situation with Kenny already holding back over by the library side of the site and just needing to get Body into position with him rotating off of B. Now, very, very slowly creep up, but he's already made a lot of progress, too. Getting to the mid-choke point, though, is where he does need to slow down and quiet himself down so they don't exactly figure out where he is moving in from. Still, though, Nothing paying attention to this, but okay, he just goes for the kill on Kenny, and he gets it, granted, but then is traded out because of that open position. Now it's on Body to win out versus Skadoodle here if he wants to keep it alive for his team, and he does! So it's G2 that'll take control of the first gun round.
That was so sick by Body. That's almost a for sure kill every time you're on that box. That was insane by him. Like to just jiggle peek that angle as much as he did, because Scooter was on a really big off angle. I wonder if maybe they heard Ska there or something like that earlier in the round, because he just went right for that spot.
Yeah. So great stuff coming out from G2 to immediately fight back here and not let Cloud9 get that huge lead like we saw before, but there is room as well here for Cloud9 to just trade this back immediately.
Look for Kenny S to really try a lot here to make it maybe 4v5 and alleviate some of this, pressure off from his teammates due to the 3 FAMASas and limited utility that they have.
Right now, he is just going to be holding back around Rap side here, but him and Shox this time. Remember, I think it was last round, actually, where it was just Shox, and he kind of got wrecked when he tried to make this push towards the mid-choke point. But if he has the support of Kenny, it could, in theory, go a lot better, as we do have other members of C9 moving in for Hall's control.
Yeah, so what they're doing right now is they have 4 towards A and 3 players contesting middle, but they don't smoke middle at all. And they have 1 player towards B, but they want them to fight middle. That's why they're not smoking it.
Continues to hold it here, and Shox just makes a move, goes inside of Boiler, and is able to pick up Nothing. Now, back in mid, there is going to be a player waiting for them in the mini pit down there, but also more trying to push through the mid choke point in a second. They're held off by his smoke, though. That's going to be both Automatic and Shroud that have to hold away from that one. and run on the timer a little bit more, but you've got other options open to them still. Stewie waiting at the half wall. They are going to swing back out here. NBK given time to recover from his flashbang, but Automatic will get that kill. Not before Apex moves in, though, to do a lot of damage, actually taking down Shroud, then almost eliminating Automatic as well. He goes over to 39 HP after that play, and now it's a sneak back into the halls where he's going to be the lone player, just trying to keep the ACTs inside of this site and prevent them from rotating the other direction, as it is looking like actually that these two players over on B are just going to throw a fake and then send themselves over to A. The fake is going to work too. Full rotate from Shox, so they only have Apex to defend this site right now, and all three are going to come back in. Thankfully, Shox has a last-minute change in judgment, and Apex also hits the first kill. So G2 are still looking really good here. Now that Shox is back in position, it is just going to be a crossbar angle. Stewie's got to hit a big kill here. He hits it though, but now has another 1v2 set against him, and he only has 10 HP, no utility either to win it out. And there's a very small amount of places where he could actually be successfully hiding out at. The nade, thankfully for him, is a big old whiff. Just goes out of the corner there. He's not going to do any additional damage to him. Now he creeps in. He's going to look for this kill against Kenny, and he lines it up perfectly. But unfortunately for him, once again, Body is just waiting by the hay barrels and is going to be able to trade that.
Yeah, Stewie does a good job of, making that round, hard-hitting round economically speaking for G2, but Body again winning that clutch from Porch in the same exact spot. And you're absolutely right, though. The over-rotate came out, and if I'm Cloud9, I'm buying here. Yeah, so they buy again. They know that G2 is on the brink of, forcing them to an eco. And that was just a really, really smart round by G2, just from start to finish. After they make it 4v5, they smoke middle. They send Kenny S back towards B in case they're going to end up hitting B. And from top to bottom, those were very intelligently played round by them.
Yeah, G2 are still going to be very, very broke here, and you can already see evidence of that one. The UMP on NBK, they are able to get pretty much full buys beyond that one, but everybody's at basically $500 or less. NBK, though, again, making that aggressive movement inside a boiler, and the timing on it is nearly flawless. It's Nothing as well, who I believe is the player that died to this last time, that dies to it again.
Yeah, it is, and it's instead, I thought during these rounds where they feel like they need to make a play, I would think it would be Kenny S kind of going for these picks. Instead, it was Shox pushing into boiler, and now NBK pushing into boiler again. Both times taking out Nothing to make it 4v5.
Well, it's going to be a big snack from Cloud9, though, to try and change up this 4v5 into something where they'll hold the advantage. More than likely will turn itself into a B hit, but they've got the perfect setup to stop this now. Shox up on the flower pot boost, and Body as well in the site. Body is going to definitely want to try to take the contact first here so that Shox can just go off and not have to worry about destacking afterwards. Body firing off first. Now Shox can move back in, and instantly we see a double kill between the two of them. Shox even chimes in for a third. Shroud's not going to get anything done as Body leaps on top of the fountain to close out the round.
Yeah, and if you remember when we were watching Heroic play, when I said Valde was up there, he got that kill, and he stayed up there because the trade kill is so easy. That's what you want to do. He chops down, he spams through the smoke. There's still a really good chance that you're going to get that second kill through the smoke, which he does. And that's how you want to play that. You get that one kill, you say, hey, site player, you're alone, bro. I'm not going to help you out. Good luck. And then drop down.
Well, that's going to break Cloud9 this time, as they don't find anywhere near the amount of impact they did in the last two gun rounds here that they forced into. G2 going to be given a chance to actually build up a little bit of money, so forcing into it and completely wiping the board clean against G2 would not necessarily force them onto a save anymore. So just not worth it to go for it anymore.
One of the things that you're going to notice that G2 is so good at is using their utility properly. Like, they'll use every advantage that you give them timing-wise. Kenny S will op middle, and they won't smoke it, and then they'll have smokes later on the round for Halls and Porch, and that's one of their really good strengths on Inferno.
Well, now the rest of Cloud9 getting ready to try and deploy out towards A, but there's already a 3-man stack here ready to defend this as they move in. Stewie hitting that first kill. I think they know NBK's hiding behind the wall too, but he's still able to pick up one kill. Apex swinging in for a second. Skadoodle wants that op that's sitting on the ground, and he's going to get it. He's going to have to try and work for it. Shroud actually ends up picking it up there as well, with Skadoodle just having to try and navigate to the pit. He'll be taken out by Apex. The rest of G2 moving in to try and crush this. They at the very least get a plant on this round, but in terms of winning it, definitely not going to happen.
That was such a winnable round for Cloud9. As soon as they got that off as well, I don't know why Scott was jumping into the pit when Moto's not smoked or anything like that. Just gave up his life for free. Could have been an impact there.
Yeah, the positioning on it after they got those few kills was really weird, and that they didn't really seem to try and take a setup or anything like that. They all just kind of froze.
They couldn't go to pit. You can't go to pit in that situation.
Yeah.
But if you can bring the op back to Porch side, or have somebody spot Porch and let the op off, a default box towards Moto, you could definitely win that round.
Well, unfortunately, they flinched a little bit there, and it ends up costing them a round of an upset, which could could have swung this back into their control, and now it is going to be actually G2 that gain the lead away from C9 here and have basically just been winning out since we saw the first gun round. Shocks, though, ace what could have been a very important early kill there. One player from Cloud9 jumped up on top of logs and could have just been dead to rights. Another shot missed as well. He'll get dropped to 89 HP. They know the op presence is still here and is waiting by CT. They're going to be happy with what just happened there and wait this out a few moments before attempting it again. Yeah, and that's the battle I was talking about. Once they get that off later on in that half, you know, that was 2 chances that both players had to kill each other. And that's something we might start seeing, you know, throughout the rest of this half is Stewie battling these B players, battling Shocks, especially when he has an off. Shocks, so he's going to get pushed back from his position and we'll have to re-rotate. Thankfully, no one is peeked out. If he stuck back over there, though, Stewie might have remained in the open, but it's no longer the case from this new position he's playing at. They are going to try to set up to actually hold off the hit, though, should it come in this direction. That's Cloud9.
And their first smoke that they throw at B gets deployed at about 45 seconds, and Body still has one. So if he resmokes at about, you know, 30 or so, Cloud9 is going to have to execute through one.
They're getting ready to deploy their own flashbangs. They want to try and hold this back a little bit. Body is in the heat of this one, but finding impact immediately and even leaping back through for another one. He'll get traded, but they've got another CT coming his way. Back over here from CT rotate as well. Shocks almost taking a shot at his teammate there, actually. But Apex in this battle, able to pick up 2 more kills, even trading himself over to the Tech 9 to find another one. Shroud trading onto 1 kill, but this is way over here in like alt mid. Very irrelevant to what's actually going on in this match right now. And so off of that, he's going to have to fall back and save, and G2 will win it out on the timer.
Yeah, and it just comes down to those little advantages that G2 gets. Shocks is opting towards B, so they don't smoke it. By the time they smoke B, there's 45 seconds left. They have another smoke at about 30. So Body throws that. C9 has to execute through a smoke. Body gets 1 kill. He stays alive in the smoke for a long time. And more importantly, he stays alive through the smoke long enough for the rotate to come in Apex, who comes through spawn, to not only get a kill, but stay alive. Shocks gets that kill. And it's just saving that smoke. That's what won the round. I know it's simple, but that's it. Just simple things like that.
And Cloud9 will be taking a tactical pause now to try and figure out how they can work against some of these issues. Maybe getting a little bit more aggressive earlier on in the round here to try and force the usage of some of that utility. But at the moment, as you mentioned, it's being saved so much that when Cloud9 are finally ready to go for it, they do have to sort of burst their way through a smoke and go blindly into the site, essentially, to try and take that battle. And even though they move in, they take out 1 player at the start, more there within just seconds, and the chaos of the smoke is too much for them to handle.
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to execute through a smoke, especially on short notice. They didn't know that there was going to be a second smoke coming. Their entire game plan was, hey, execute after this smoke that they threw. But you know, they weren't planning on that second smoke. They didn't have a game plan for that. They just kind of forced through it, and then that's what happens.
Well, it remains close for right now, but while this scoreline looks close, it's actually been very, very dominant for G2. Cloud9 picking up the pistol and the 2 anti-ecos after that, but nothing since then. It's been a 5-round streak from G2, and all these gun rounds going their way. We are going to have another investment coming in a moment from Cloud9, but it is going to be a little bit stretched out when we look at their players. 3 AKs so far. I think Skadoodle is going to end up down in a Tech 9 so they can get a little bit more utility into this buy, but everyone else is going to end up on AKs.
Yeah, and they still have a double op setup. But I'm telling you, G2 is one of the best teams in the world at saving their utility on Inferno. They really know how to manage that and use those simple advantages, you know, to win rounds. So now we're going to see 3 towards B at the start here. Shock's going to be opping pretty aggressively.
Moving back in here, he may have a chance at a kill too, and he hits it.
That's the battle.
Stewie goes down right at the start, and it is looking like G2 will hold the advantage in that respect for this round. That's all B presence gone. Everything else from Cloud9 is focalized on mid right now.
Yeah, and that's 3 out of the first 4 gun rounds now that it's been 4v5. First 2 4v5s were on nothing in Boiler, and now the next 4v5 is Shocks killing Stewie at B. And again, saving their utility. They could just focus on halls because Kenny S is opping middle, and they haven't smoked anything. They haven't challenged them, and if they do challenge them, I mean, it's Kenny S, so good luck.
Yep, Cloud9 now moving back in to take mid choke point control. Apex is going to let them have it as he backs away from Porch, but still him and NBK are going to be in positions to actually challenge this out should they decide to push through this. They deploy their own smoke now, down to just under a minute here, and Kenny moving back in there to be able to spot more of the pressure in this direction as well. As he holds it, Swings out for a second time. He almost goes for that third kill overall too, but nothing is ready this time and is able to trade it back. Not only that, but Shroud, okay. Tapping onto Apex, finds him. Body tries to make a move, but that doesn't pan out. And now Shox has to run back over to this other site and try to make this happen, as there actually hasn't been an execute. And this is where Shox is actually going to hold up because they haven't seen the bomb move in. Cloud9 actually did have to go back to retrieve the bomb, sending nothing away from his position at port. So now both are going to end up executing out from on top of this balcony. Now NBK can just completely stop this on his own. Flash is going to roll out. He can peek into that one, but he doesn't realize that second player is actually working out because nothing was spotted earlier over on port side. So having to go back to this bomb is a bit of a double-edged sword, but for now, it works out. Brings it down to the 1v1. Now Shox has to try and clutch this back out, but there's going to be a smoke in his way, and nothing will play this very passively at first. Out into the open, though, but that's going to be a problem, and Shox is ready for that. He's got his P250 aimed at that angle, and he's going to be able to finish it off.
Yeah, in G2, it's 3 1v1s so far that they've won. Once with Shox, twice with Body, all 3 at the A site, and 3 times they've made it 4v5. So if it's not 4v5, you got to think those 1v1s probably don't happen, right? If C9 could just do a better job of not giving up these initial kills, we would definitely seen a different game so far. But G2 just getting the better of them earlier in the round, making it 4v5 is really making it a lot easier later in the round and bringing it even to these 1v1s.
Yeah, we still have that double op setup going to be very prevalent here for G2. We've already seen its effectiveness as of the last round there. Kenny being able to chime in for as long as he did back over here on Rap side, and then obviously Shox kind of coming in there to save the day as well, and even held Stewie back, which we may have that battle happening again as well. And there you go. It's going to be, well, not necessarily the one you were expecting, but we're going to have that battle happening in a moment too. Kenny hitting the shot into automatic, and now Shox taking out Stewie. Both the oppers hit their shots right at the beginning of the round, and just like that, we're at a 5v3.
Yeah, and both oppers just making it 5v3. Shox just dominating B now. And it's not even just the kills, you know, I mean, he's made it 4v5, yeah, twice in a row now, well, 3v5 because Kenny got that pick. But even the round where he didn't make it 4v5, just his presence there and being able to save your utility if you're G2 is enough to win a round.
Yeah, really just kind of posting up in CT and taking a few shots was all that was needed to push Stewie back.
Yeah, because if you think about it, how do you take B control now? You have to use a bunch of utility, you have to use a bunch of time, because you don't know if he's going to be opping aggro. And finally, when you push him back to being opping aggro, you got to push him off from one of these angles that he's at towards CT spawn or coffins, right? And now he gets re-aggressive.
Oh, and he just finds Scudiddle with a nade in hand, tries to get cheeky with the last one, and he hits it as well. A second attempt, granted, but he goes for it, and he connects the shot onto Shroud.
It's just so difficult to play against because you take mid control, what's going to happen? Kenny S is going to re-aggress either Arch or Porch. So you have to stop that. To take mid control, you have to use a bunch of utility because Kenny S is opping it. To take B control, you have to use a bunch of utility because Shox is opping it aggressively, right? Then they have all these little trickeries where if you don't use that utility, or while you're using that, they save their utility with the other players who aren't opping.
Well, he's going to be tested again here now. Stewie tries to push past that Molotov. That's not going to play out. Shox will miss the second shot, though. CT position doesn't seem to be his best, unfortunately. Everywhere else seems to be working out fine, but now they're just going to swing back in. Apex is here to help out a little bit, and Body from up on top, even leaping forward. Shox finally hitting another shot from there. They will lose Body in the process, but Shox comes right back in to shut down that round a few moments later.
Yeah, whenever your CT spawn opping there and a Molotov comes out, it's actually more of like a one-way for the Ts. It's really difficult to see the guys behind the Molotov, that peak. So that's kind of why you see those missed shots. It's just, I don't know why the mollies are like that. I don't know why they become one-ways essentially, but it's just kind of how the game is. And still no op coming out from C9, and I think that's what you need. Because how else are you going to, if you take mid control and Kenny S re-aggresses, how else are you going to stop him? This is going to be 4v5 again.
Shox, oh, in position, but he misses it. Yeah. And he loses about 40 damage from the molly as well when backing up.
Look how much control he has. Look where C9 is. Stewie just left B and went to alt mid. He doesn't want any part of that.
So he's going to completely give that up. If Shox wants to, he probably isn't going to do it, at least not this round. But he could potentially push back up, and now this is going to set us up for that full B control scenario. Shox does actually realize this, so he calls for Body to move away, and now there's going to be a full 4-man stack on A.
I mean, he's most likely G2 wins this round, and believe it or not, it's because of Shox. Because they just have 4 towards A, and they're going to go A.
Well, off of that one, Shox is going to 100% confirm that he's safe, and he may even rotate in a moment here as well. Smoke just gets redeployed. The execution begins 1-to-1 to start it off, but Apex, a quick headshot clip. He moves in for a second, gets good damage, but doesn't actually find the kill. So all of a sudden, it's only 2 alive for G2 here. Both of the Oppers as well. It's Shox and Kenny trying to clutch against Skadoodle, Nothing, and Shroud. And they don't have a lot of options to actually get themselves on the site right now. So going to very slowly kind of creep along the edges of Porch, along with the library side here. Shox is going to have to wait a moment before he can go in, but Nothing just leaps into a position where he's going to be found out. Thankfully, Shroud had that close corner, so he's able to move forward and find Kenny when he's trying to check his flank, takes him out relatively conflict-free. Now Shox has to go for this. He only has 7 HP to play with. He's going to rush into the site, but Skadoodle is ready for that, and he will shut it down. Finally, gives the North American team into the round.
Yeah, they win the round, but positionally speaking, G2 had every advantage in the world going into that round, and they also killed 3 players. So C9 does win that round, but it's going to be they're teetering on the edge of being broken again. So we'll see what they do with this op now. Stewie has the op. That means he's going to take it towards B, and he's going to challenge Shox and going to try to stop him from pushing.
There you go. With Stewie hitting the shot this time around as he prepares for it and Shox into the open. Finally, it trades back into the direction, and this is a big swing kill, as now it can give the much safer option for Cloud9 to potentially execute onto B.
And usually what C9 likes to do here is, whenever it's 4v5, is send Stewie into spawn. We saw that the round before when Kenny S killed him in Library. When he was B, he went all the way to Library and Kenny S killed him, but that's usually what they like to do. But now that he has the op, and he also died the round before, I'm not sure if they're going to use that option.
Yeah, the rest of the team is kind of still just holding an ult in mid right now, running down the timer a little bit more and waiting out some of these smokes. But Stewie has one for himself, and guys, he make a move again, goes right in, finds body, and that's pulled a huge rotation. So if they want to execute A, now is going to be the best time. They've got 2 out of 3 of the remaining players sitting in this side, and only NBK defending Pit right now, as they just assumed off of Stewie's kills that it's going to be an execute, and Stewie may be even able to sell this further now. He's going to have another player challenging him with Crips in a second, tries to hit that shot. I think he's going to connect a little bit through the wall, but doesn't actually get the full kill, only brings him down about half HP. NBK just going to be completely decimated by these mollies here, and will be burned out by that, so there's definitely no way he's staying alive in that situation. And now the last few players, Stewie rushing back up, even spraying into the corpse. That does give away his location, so Kenny's going to be able to trade. But at this point, it doesn't really matter, as Cloud9 already have the round. They're going up to number 5 in a second here.
Yeah, Stewie just won that round by himself. So you might be wondering why he didn't run into B off that kill. He didn't know if there was another player there. He wanted to confirm that there was another player there. So he smokes CT spawn. He waits until there's actual contact from him and another player, and then he knows there's max 2A, and they could just run back to A and take that site. So that's kind of why they kind of slowed it down like that.
Yeah, and Kenny mainly just looking to save here now. Back over inside of the church, and no one from Cloud9 is going to move in to contest that. They will let him save the gun. The fans over there definitely getting a little bit more hyped now that Cloud9's finding their way back into the match here. But in terms of these rebuys for some of these players on G2, it's actually going to be a little bit rough here. NBK already down to just under 4K. Granted, they'll still have enough for this round, but it's after this where things are going to get a little bit dodgy. If you can see the UMP choice going in instead there for NBK because of that lower money.
UMP is the best choice.
I mean,
best gun.
Well, we do have Cloud9 getting ready to move forward again, and this time much more reinvigorated force of players too, trying to push for this. They do not have the double op setup anymore, and no longer is it Shox with the op as well. It's still just Kenny S playing with it back over towards A, so you're not going to have to deal with as much aggressive pressure in that direction, at least with the op anymore. Sure, Shox will still be able to do some work with the M4 though, so you definitely don't want to count him out entirely just yet. Smokes were tossed out a little bit earlier this time by G2. They're forced into making one there. So hopping around a little bit here, but Shox, after the smoke does start to fade, it is looking like he may move out the challenge. So we're going to have this battle once again. Flashbang moves in, and Shox just walks right up and gets the double tap to take out Stewie.
And that's just another advantage that you have because Kenny S is opping mid. He was just, there was no smoke at middle, and when he decided to push B, that's when they started using the smokes at A. Now the A hit's gonna come. Scott has to go all the way back to hit bomb, so they smoke left and right side mid, so you really can't contest that if you're G2.
It buys them a little bit more time here to work on this one and even change it up if they want to, as G2 has pretty much fully rotated off this, assuming it's going to be an A hit, but instead it's looking like it's going to be a split possibly to have Shroud just go on his own. Kenny is going to deny that, and now he can just peek for it, see that nothing's here. He still hasn't fully realized it though, just now is when he's going to do it, but this is going to be a bit of a race over to the B-bomb site. Thankfully the Cloud9 guys are taking a little bit of time to set up here and get themselves with full Molotovs and whatnot, as they probably think it's going to be more than one player hiding here, when in all reality, at least at this point, it is just Body. Now Kenny though gets himself into the picture too. They've got the bomb going onto the ground, but they've basically got none of the site under their control. It's still G2 controlling all of the back site right now, and oh, Kenny just has such a small area to work with, but he hits that shot anyway. Skadoodle tries to battle back, but is not going to get any of it done, and just like that, we're back into G2 having control. Yeah,
very well played by Body. And again, man, the little things. Kenny S is off in middle. They're able to save the utility. They want to make a play at B. They smoke up middle, so they don't have a chance to really hit A off that B aggression, right? Like a lot of the time, if Stewie dies at B there, they might want to do like a quick A hit, but they could be safe in sending 3 towards B because they still have that utility that Kenny S provides for the team because he's opping middle and they're not really smoking it off that much.
Now we got Cloud9 still back onto a full buy after the loss of that last round, and Stewie is going to take point once again. Shock still trying to push forward here as well, but very quickly withdraws his position. And Kenny now ready to take some dulls at mid as well, should it come to pass. Skadoodle is ready to challenge that if Kenny wants to go for the full peak, but that is definitely one that Skadoodle is probably going to have the advantage upon. And meanwhile, Apex underneath the porch, he's ready to take battles versus players like Nothing, who just go directly for the peak from Boiler, which is definitely going to end up going Apex's way.
Another 4v5.
And not by Shox' hand this time, but it is going to be by Cloud9 trying to go for an early peak and losing players due to it. Well, now it is looking like the rest of C9 is going to try to go directly for the B execute here. Shox, okay, a little bit of an awkward movement there, but he finds Automatic, gets that kill. Thing is, Shox is going to use his whole clip, but the good news is Body bails him out. Stewie was trying to lurk back up there and punish the player in CT, but failed to do so. Now you're just looking at 2 players alive for Cloud9, both pushed out of the bomb site as well. Ace gone up against like 0 pressure. They've started to rotate players back over there, assuming they were going to try to swing this hit in the other direction, which does mean that in theory now, with only these 2 here, if Skadoodle and Shroud can both hit their entries and moving into this site, they can still definitely win this out, as they would be able to set themselves up and get it into a post plant, but they cannot get traded at all here in the situation or really even take a whole lot of damage. Failed to bail out any of the shots and now moving back in. Body instantly taking down Shroud. This is all on Skadoodle now, and he's got a full 1v5 set against him. Instantly shut down by Shox, and that's going to end the half 10-5 for G2.
Yeah, I mean, I must say G2 outplayed them in almost every aspect. You got to remember Cloud9 won pistol, went up a quick 3-0. They had 3 rounds in a row to break G2's money. Weren't able to do it. Lost 1v1s. It was 4v5 continually. G2 was able to kill Stewie at Banana. You know, I think 3 out of the 4 rounds. Shock probably killed him, besides that 1 round that Stewie won pretty much by himself. But you take that if you're G2, you know, 3 for 4.
Yep.
Take that all day.
Yeah, and I mean, this is definitely going to be a decent advantage for them jumping over on a T side now that the battle so far between Shox and Stewie that we've seen on Banana has been, you know, I'd say a good 80% in the favor of Shox so far. Even when he's not actually killing him, he's definitely, you know, having his own presence there, and it's enough to push Stewie back and force Cloud9 into very readable plays.
It's just the little things that G2 does so well on Inferno. I'm telling you, that little amount of time that they buy, that 30 seconds here, 15 seconds there, of not using your utility to be safe and things like that is what wins a lot of these rounds. And it makes it so much easier to hold a site when you see the execute coming from a mile away, because they have to push back the opper, and then you deploy your Molotov, you deploy your smoke, and you know, can make their take so much longer, and they have to go through these nades.
Well, Cloud9 are going to end up being 6 rounds away from elimination if they do not get themselves together here, especially right at the beginning of this second half. They will now jump onto the CT side, and we're going to see if they have any better luck to actually hold off G2 now as they jump onto the T side. And they're definitely going to carry over a lot of their momentum from the first half. Automatic looking to try and test things out over here. Stewie picking up that first kill. Kenny, though, able to trade back onto Stewie afterwards. Automatic is still alive, but he's been pushed back to the sandbags now. And G2 are ready to take that challenge, but unfortunately, Automatic is standing by, and he's able to knock out Kenny S. That's going to send the remaining 3 from G2 out through the mid-choke point, but Nothing is ready to defend this. Quick trade from Body, though. That opens up the wrap side, but not fully. Skadoodle still has a position outside of arches to punish anyone that may try to go through or even past this position. He's not peaked to kill players that are passing it, though, so Body is allowed to move over towards Library for free. They still have to get Shocks out onto the site though with the bomb, and he only has 3 HP to do it. The good news here for G2 is that there's only actually one player in the site right now, and that's going to be Shroud, who just gets instantly destroyed by Body. At the moment, he's single-handedly saving this pistol round for G2. As the plan is going to go down, Cloud9 will have to work for quite a few seconds to get themselves in position, but thankfully they have a kit, so they do have a few more extra seconds to set something like this up. Both of them having smokes to play with as well. Maybe able to try and smoke out some of these lineups. Like if they're able to read where Body's playing from right now, they can isolate him. Body, though, is self-boosted up on top and has a great position to do even more damage to Automatic now. They bring him down to 13 HP. That's just going to send him in the other direction. He'll just group up with Skadoodle, but Body can boost up here as well, and he's going to be able to find positioning onto another player, but this is not the one that's already low. Skadoodle going to move in, immediately jumping onto the bomb to defuse it here. I don't even think Body realized that they have the kit. He's going to try to chase this, but he can't stop it, so Cloud9 will just rush the defuse, sneak it in, and with that, they'll win out the pistol.
Yeah, not really the optimal plant situation or post-plant, you know, spot for G2, and they did a really good job just like Body getting the bomb down, Shocks having low HP. They just kind of wait for Body to make a play. He ends up killing Shroud in the pit and making it a 2v2, and G2 is going to force up here. So they have Tech 9 full armor. They got the ump on MBK, not opting for that third round buy. So they just want to end the game like right now, because if they win this round, you know that they're going to be just huge favorites.
It's going to end up being 4 UMPs for Cloud9 and a whole lot of mollies. So I think they are looking to try and stop just a direct play like this. Being able to firebomb out the site by plenty of time for rotates. Cloud9 also got aggressive down banana too, so they should be able to see that there's like literally zero presence here. G2 is going to waste no time going into the site though. Shroud's able to hold for 1 kill and a second from inside of this pit. He may even be able to go for a third. Skadoodle is actually going to be able to pick that up. There's the 3rd kill from Shroud. Even gets the spray in there as well as he picks up the 4th and secures his 7th round for C9.
Yeah, that was a sick hold by Shroud. That Molotov from nothing comes out, really helps a lot. Disjoints the take. They take the damage to the molly. Watching through that left side of the smoke.
Yeah, now G2 are going to have to give a little bit of respect to Cloud9 going into this next round, saving up a tad. Still, though, a lot of Deagles in the picture here for G2 right now. Shocks, Kenny, and Body all working with them, whereas NBK and Apex will be the ones to save here. And we already have NBK creeping up to the half wall with a close position, but nades also being tossed back down should delay the rest of G2 for a few extra seconds here. And overall, Cloud9 obviously still having plenty of utility to stem the tide as well. Molly's starting to roll back out. Automatic's going to use this to swing into the open where they'll pick up at least 1 kill on Shocks. Trying to go for a few more here too, and he hits another one on the NBK. I think they know there's a 3rd player hanging out by the crossroads here, and there definitely is. There's actually 2 of them. Both Kenny and the bomb carrier Body are going to be positioned here. And really just trying to hold this off and potentially set themselves up for a couple of trade kills at the very least. But even that is proving difficult to find here. And with time getting low, they are still going to have to try and move forward and make a move. Cloud9 do realize that it's not in their advantage anymore to even stick back out at this old car spot and try to go for these peaks with half wall. So both Stewie and Automatic are going to end up falling back to the site. And they preemptively call for the rotate from Skadoodle, as he's going to move himself over to Highway. And in the event they end up executing, he can be at this site, able to help within just a few seconds, if he's even needed, as Automatic gets himself another nice double kill. Kenny trying to hold, uses 5 bullets within the first 2 seconds of that push, and Stewie is then going to swing back out, putting him down to the ground and giving Cloud9 a flawless round to put them up to 8.
Yeah, and they're probably going to keep at least the majority of their umps here. Try to get like a huge economical advantage if they're able to win this round. The one thing I don't really like about Cloud9's setup that much, though, is that you have Automatic and Stewie together, and I think that those are like the brains of your team, right? One's the in-game leader, one's probably is the second mid-game caller, right? Those are the guys who talk the most, who talk about setups the most, who call the most. I think it's better to kind of separate them so that you have one of them on each of the sites kind of controlling all the other players.
Still, that powerhouse is going to come into a lot of help hopefully here in some of these rounds, but at least not for this one. Over towards the A site, we'll see nothing eliminated very early on, or over here towards Banana, excuse me, very early on, as they do try to put an aggressive 3rd person here, but it just doesn't work out for them. And just like that, we do have an advantage for G2. Now, mind you, the gun power for G2 is going to be a little bit better here for Cloud9. Obviously, the 5 ump buy that they have there is a little bit risky since we've taken into full gun rounds here, but there's still the chance for them to actually hold that off. If they do end up dying here, though, and they get the run to G2, they'll still have plenty of cash as rebuy going into the round after.
Yeah, C9, they take deep banana control, but body sprays, you know, nothing through the smoke. And G2 makes it 4v5 once again.
Stewie still trying to play by that half wall here, and he's going to wait it back out, but he knows he has full control. So rotates have moved over. They do have a 3-man setup here, and nobody checking towards Rap side initially, so automatic allowed to get that kill. The thing is, though, is that the other Cloud9 players get really greedy with trying to peek out and pick up some of these frags. So Body, along with the others pushing out from G2, are basically able to pick up these kills and just continue to take these duels and find themselves an open sight now. Now, all of a sudden, it's on Stewie to pull off a massive clutch here with a 1v3. He's smoked off from the initial library side push. He does have a molly to try and burn at least one player out of position, but in terms of his actual capability to do this, this is not going to be looking good. And again, there's that G2 saving utility, as another smoke's just going to be reapplied moments after the first one starts to fade.
I mean, if you're Stewie, you're not really trying to win this round. You're trying to ruin their economy so that if you win the next round, you force them to a full save. Because he really doesn't have a chance to win this round. So you're kind of playing for the long haul. He's going to try to kill him while he's in the pit, probably. I bet he goes for it.
He's going to be waiting it out right now. Now it looks like he's going to try to go back into the site, see if he can find anything. Looking towards that corner, but Kenny's already gotten to the wall, so he's just not able to get to it in time.
No, C9 had a good setup there. That definitely could have went C9's way. I mean, the double port setup, automatic turn from the flash. Not sure exactly how the kill's shaped up, obviously. You have to take a look at it like 5 different times to see it, you know, but that's a good setup, and they had a chance to win the round in that 4v5.
Well, G2, of course, still continuing their own bias here, but Cloud9 back into full firepower with them 4s in the op, even going on a Skadoodle here. Stewie's still going to be chosen as the player to defend Banana, though, instead of the opper, which is one of the choices that Cloud9 do tend to make here. And the same for Skadoodle as he works his way over here towards the porch is going to be tested very early on as G2 are going for such fast control. Shroud, though, able to get a triple kill from here. Going to want to go for 4 as well, but not able to find it. Traded up by NBK. Now Stewie gets aggressive, pushes down Banana, finds himself the 4th kill, and just Kenny remains alive. Doesn't even have the bomb to control either. Has to toss out 2 nades just to get him back into the open, and a 3rd to make sure no one's hiding inside of that cubby. At the very least, he'll get the bomb back, but now begins the arduous process of, at the very least, trying to get himself onto his site and find that planet. He wasn't even able to get the bomb either. That got mollied back off, and Stewie is going to be able to right back over to the T-steps, shut down the round, and give Cloud9 their 9th, putting them just 2 more away from tying this game back up.
Yeah, I mean, just a 5-man mid-take. It looked like they didn't even look at porch. They thought the molly went underneath the pillars, but it doesn't. It missed, and that's not only a one-way for Shroud. You know, it's really, really tough to see him there, but they think the place is mollied off, and it's just not. So a botched molly just destroys G2.
Skadoodle in a very early position to take a shot once again. It is going to hit, but I think it's through a wall, so not going to do as much damage as he would have liked. NBK down to 62 HP after being tagged by that one, and Stewie also is going to get pushed back from his, what would normally be a very aggressive banana push. Still, though, with his smoke deployed, I'm pretty sure he knows that they're not going to actually try to test that. So moving automatic around here. Stewie does still have to try and push back out before they can actually send automatic to the other side. But it is looking like G2 are going to go to what was working for them on Cobble, but may not necessarily work here, which is these very fast plays. Shroud, again, is ready for this one and opens up with a double kill from Pit. 1 and 2, going to go for the 3rd, and he's going to get it now for the 4th potentially as well. Does massive damage, which Skadoodle's going to finalize upon now by taking down Kenny, and then Shroud even gets that last assist as Nothing picks up the last kill onto Body.
Yeah, and C9's economy is definitely building up. Scott's had 2 chances in a row to make it 4v5, though. So hopefully he can connect on those in the future for C9's sake. G2 just going to save here. Play for the next round, but C9's looking great, man. It's going to be 11-11. They're going to have a lot of money. G2 has, you know, nothing really to work with on how you're going to break this CT side either.
Skadoodle again trying to hit that early shot in mid, but a little bit too fast. NBK is going to be here.
That's the problem with playing like that sometimes, especially right off the bat with that kind of just scrimmy play style, just hoping those things work. Because if you lose the rounds, you don't have anything to go off of. You don't know how they're playing B. You don't really know how they're playing A and Arch side and what type of late setup they're getting as Apex somehow rushes Skadoodle with the op, gets into CT spawn, and opens up the round.
Nothing, though, able to trade that kill back over here in mid. Apex, of course, is going to try to swing all the way towards CT spawn, but Stewie and Automatic should know that this is a thing. Automatic's even just going to push back out now to try and stop them from even setting up for that B hit. Stewie denies Apex actually getting any additional kills done, and while Shox does pick up a 2nd kill overall, the round is won by Cloud9. Still, 2 kills on a round like that isn't necessarily the end. Isn't necessarily a bad round for G2 at all, though, escaping with that. At the very least, forces a few more of those rebuys and brings down the money a little bit for those two players.
Yeah, it does, but you know, G2, they still need to win at least 2 rounds in a row in order to break C9. I mean, C9 is in a fantastic position right now. Kenny S does have the op, no armor though. You know, not even a great buy or anything by G2. And like I said, they don't have much to work off of. Triple B push by C9, and I think they're going to try to take B control a little bit into this round.
Last time this happened too, it didn't actually end up going so well, but there's an earlier smoke out this time that will prevent, you know, nothing or someone else here from getting punished within the first few seconds of it. He went for a very early peek from the half wall and got punished for it. So now they've got him positioned a little bit further back, and automatic is going to end up being the first point of contact here. NBK moves in though, but nothing's able to hold this time. Gets himself a double, working with Stewie, but those kills are traded back by Apex. In this whole moment though, automatic remains completely silent, and now he's set up for a surprise as he takes Apex right back down and gives the immediate advantage back to C9.
Yeah, and the way G2 is trying to win rounds is just brute force.
Shox managed to get himself through the mid choke point in the meanwhile and push himself up over towards the arches, but I think Skadoodle is already aware of this and is waiting just on the other edge of that one. And seeing flashbangs come back out now. That is going to alert Shox of his own presence, however. And in the meanwhile, Kenny is still trying to make a move as well, but he'll have to challenge against Shroud, who's really come alive in just these past 2 or 3 rounds. Picking up multiple. I think he even got like 2 4Ks in the last 2 or 3 rounds as well. Definitely got the 4K in the last round, but the one before that too, I think he had just as much impact. Now he's going to be testing his second here. Hits the shot onto Shox, who gets pushed in first, but Kenny now was set up for a trade because of that one. Skadoodle letting his opponent through, brings this back down to a 2v1, but Kenny could very well win this if he reads into it appropriately. Does look for the boiler player first, but he's already escaped into the halls, and that's going to be automatic, swinging around over to the balcony, and Kenny now even getting pushed out of his own sight. He's got to check this balcony in a moment, otherwise he's going to find himself dead. On the ground very quickly. Sets himself up for that first shot though, but now has to check behind him, and he does not. So automatic sets himself up perfectly. And for the second time in this round alone, he surprises and picks up an extremely crucial kill to make sure Cloud9 hold on to their advantage and subsequently win the round.
Yeah, I really like the strategy by C9 though, to not only do that triple B play, but also I think if that doesn't develop, and they don't push like that, they could just triple push B and get control and then send 2 towards A. So kind of that delayed B push. But G2, I just don't like the way they're trying to win rounds. You know, you're trying to just straight peek B like that versus posted up players, especially if one has an op, you're just going to die, you know, pretty much every time. And then the other rounds just kind of brute forcing through middle, brute forcing B so far, and all 3 gun rounds so far. That's really all it's been.
Earlier Hall's control being taken now by Shox. For the most part, G2 have actually been largely ignoring Halls. They're not using it until late into the round. Now, great flashbang is going to let them back out. Shroud is able to save Skadoodle's life, but he loses his own in the process. He takes down Shox before doing that, though, and now nothing gets into this position over on Rap side, able to find Apex. And again, G2 trying to go directly in, using a little bit more, using a little bit more variety in this one by at least having a player go through Boiler, but still didn't really seem to work all that well. And they're still disadvantaged in trying to go for this push. Body, though, makes some work happen as he moves, and he finds Skadoodle immediately, but nothing still on this site. Kenny was able to pick up an additional kill, but now this goes to a 2v1, which once again G2 is going to falter on. Nothing picks up another 3K, and it's Cloud9 just 3 rounds away from winning map number 2.
Yeah, huge round by nothing there. If he doesn't get that kill on Shox wrapping, that round is over. Sky's going to be in the site alone, 4 players converging on him, but he just steps up, mans up, and wins that round for his team.
Timeout is going to be called by G2 here now. As once again, clearly something is going wrong with their strategy, and it's just not working for them. Not only this, but again, they've waited so long here now that even though it's a very, very close game at 11-13, Cloud9 could very well just shut this out with only 1 or 2 more gun rounds. They'll have full control of this map. And we're going to head to, I believe it was Overpass for our 3rd and final map. Or no, Cache, excuse me. We're going to head to Cache.
Yeah, if I'm G2, I'd probably just pistol armor by here. I do have the loss bonus, so I'll be able to purchase the next round regardless. But again, you know, because of the way they're trying to win rounds, how do you have nothing to go off of right now. You do not know what C9's late round game is or game plan. Like, you have no idea. So you don't, how do you adapt to this? You're just basically playing against a blank slate right now. All you know is that they're contesting middle early on behind smokes. That's it.
Yeah. Time is getting low here for G2, so we need to sort of wrap up the discussion and figure out what the actual strategy is going to be for them. Brute forcing their way over into the A-bomb site has just not proven to work itself out for this team.
It's one of those playstyles where when it works, it's just like you just demolish the other team. The games end in like 35 minutes, and it's so quick. But when it doesn't work, a lot of the time it just looks really, really rough.
It worked last map, right? When they switched that.
But it's different because last map, first off, Cobble's a lot more open.
Yeah.
And you can make solo plays. Inferno, you can't really make the same solo plays, right? And you see, that's why they're trying to do it as a team. They're not relying on a solo play of getting entries like you can on Cobble in those scenarios. You're relying, you can't send a guy a B plat on Inferno to try to work one-on-one. They're trying to go off the team and trade kill and get in 3v3s and then just play post-plan. That's the strategy here.
Well, we are live once again here, and G2 is not going to have themselves the full buy just yet. They do have to go for an upgraded pistol round once more. Head armor and whatnot is going to be bought up behind those pistols, of course. Only for some they're going to have full head armor. Others are just going to be working with the regular one. It's going to be Shocks primarily on that. But for the rest of the team, they move up pretty quickly over here towards the mid-choke point. Nothing first to Battleish in the event that they would follow through, but not going to be happening this time around. He just deploys the smoke. The one player is going to get him to toss that back out. And for most of the others on G2, they're going to move in to take Hall's control here. Only 2 are set up to actually move in. This nade timing, though, could work out perfectly. Goes in. Decent damage on a Kenny, but the follow-up spray is what's really going to matter here. Moves in, knocks out NBK, and it's just utter destruction by Cloud9. The Molly even burning one of them out. And Shroud gets the clothesliner to shut out the last player alive. It's Cloud9 at the 14 here. And this could be it, the possible final gun round from G2.
Yeah, nothing is just playing out of his mind right now, though, on the CT side. I mean, how many Hall takes has he stopped right now? That's 2 Hall takes that he stopped. The last round, he gets that crucial kill on Arch side against Shocks. So he's playing very, very low right now after a pretty lackluster Cobble.
So just going to get one player reconnected from G2 here. Just fixing that issue really quickly, and then we are going to start up with the game. And he's already back in, so it should be really quick on pause here. As Cloud9 is going to be set up for success here. Instead of to take this over towards our 3rd map, G2 getting themselves into the buy, of course, here now. They've got the op sitting on Kenny. They may even be able to get it onto Shocks as well if they want to risk it and go for like a glass cannon buy on him. But that would be maybe pushing it a little bit too much for this late in the game, so they do decide to just have him go for the AK instead with full utility behind it. And into the round we will go now with G2, who in these last like 4 or 5 rounds altogether have been proceeding very decisively up through mid and alt early on. But this time it's a lot more held back. It's a lot more into sort of like a default sort of playstyle here as NBK solo creeps up banana, up the half wall at the very least, sets himself up to maybe push back in, and a few seconds later, while we have the 2 others moving in to take Hall's control, setting up so at the very least the CTs don't move back in and reaffirm that there is no presence there, just trying to set essentially everything up to punish anyone on Cloud9 that would get aggressive here. Now though, the main pushing force is still leading itself towards A. They've got a lot of mid, a lot in Halls, and right now just NBK leading himself up banana behind that half wall. And then moving in flashbang early on are actually really good here, so it's just going to isolate Shroud, who even he decides doesn't want to stick around for this situation. Decides to fall back. G2 are getting a lot of room for free here, essentially, off of just having to use basically flashbangs. They do start to move in towards it, though. This is a massive setup. They don't have anyone on wrap sites. So these guys can kind of stay in the open of the site. Nothing, though. It's really greedy out in the open there, and Apex is certainly going to be keen on punishing that one. And off of that, actually, they're just going to fall completely back and swing it over towards B instead. Move up towards the threshold of the site. Now you do have Automatic and Stewie set up to try and stop this. Smokes are going to get in the way of this, however. Stewie's able to find that first kill. Automatic swinging in for another. He tries to go for the 3rd overall, but is not able to find it. And what's even worse, Body took out Stewie. So now we have to see the rotates moving back in from the other site. But currently, they're not going to have the best positioning to actually get anything done with this one. They do have quite a few flashbangs to sort of bargain their way back in. Shroud, though, is spending a lot of time watching out for that flank currently and making sure that no one else pushes back in from A. That's not going to be an issue. They do have to spend a lot of time investigating that site and actually clearing it out as the CT smoke is finally gone. They have a Molotov once again to toss back in here and deny further presence. Shroud can try to peek the guy that's over at Emo if he wants to, but now having to move in as the Molotov starts to fade away, finds himself inside of it, does get that first kill, tries to go for the 2nd player over at Emo as well, but not going to find it. It's Skadoodle, though, that does catch the player down over in Banana, but he's not able to have enough aggression to push into Body, who's still hiding out by Emo, and with time so low, he's going to fall back. Body does go down, so they completely wipe off all of G2's players, and that's going to keep the buys a little bit rough, but the round is theirs, and they're going to keep themselves alive because of that.
Yeah, that's what they wanted to do. They did not care about winning the round there. They just cared about taking out all the guns. I mean, you don't have an op on G2. You have another poorly bought round from G2 where they don't have much utility. They have 2 Tech 9s even. I mean, Cloud9, that was such a good way to play that round.
And now we have Skadoodle, who initially was ready to go back in and make for a peek in the mid area, but now this time is going to get pushed back by a flashbang, ready to deploy his own smoke very early on, but it's actually going to miss.
That's good that it missed. He shouldn't smoke that. You know they don't have an op. Make them use, more utility. Maybe somebody peeks you here.
Now we're just waiting for G2 to actually make that move here. They definitely would have heard the smoke get popped back out, but obviously they're going to be a little bit confused as to where exactly it was deployed and what may be waiting for them on the other side. So right now they just hold up in mid and run that timer down a whole lot while keeping NBK back by the logs to watch out if anyone tries to push aggressively from B. Molly's going back down to the floor. They move in, chesting Skadoodle, but he's not going to be able to hit that first shot. Now having to fall back past arches and even further into CTs. They're just going to try to roll in here and take B control because of that. But you'll note
they need to cancel. Yeah.
The bomb is still way back
smart.
over in the halls there, so this plan is not going to work out as they can't get the bomb realistically grouped up with them in time here.
No, it's perfect. They pushed him back to spawn. They know there's only 2A. This was great by G2. That was very smart of them to cancel, and now they just have to pinch on the A site.
The pit players are all that's left alive here now in the site. Shroud and Nothing able to both pick up their initial kills. Shroud saves Nothing's life before going down to NBK. You still do have them sitting in, and by the time they end up going down, we do see those reinforcements arriving, and Skadoodle and Automatic are able to pick up the last 2 kills, sending Cloud9 up to map point.
Yeah, Nothing and Shroud, the A site hold is fantastic from them. The double pit setup works to perfection, but I mean, that was a very good call from G2. They recognized that Ska went to spawn. They canceled. They wanted to do a B split, but then they had a 5v2 at A. Just not able to capitalize. Cloud9's defense is just destroying them right now.
The good news is, though, is that because of what Cloud9 had set up in that last round by letting G2 win it out, but then completely killing their entire player force, now this buy is going to be pretty drastic, but they hit their first initial entries. They're not expecting Stewie to just be in the open. He's tearing them to shreds right now. Double kill. He's not even going to go down either. Survives with 8 HP. The smoke from the T's actually ends up messing up that trade kill, but they're going to chase it anyway. Apex inside catches Stewie midair, and now he's going to be able to take up a position inside of the church. It's very quick, and it's very even now as well. Apex going to bail back outside, take up a position on the site, instead just leave Shocks in here, but Shocks is getting destroyed by these nades. They have no clue that he's sitting in that position, though, and he's going to start to cut them back off. Nothing trading out one more kill. Shocks yet to actually leap into action here yet, as the site is going to be wide open for the taking, and the bomb to be defused as well. They're a little bit confused, though, as to why exactly this is, and now they're going to find out why. Shocks moves into the open. Nothing with a quick trade upon that one. He's getting low. He's got to jump onto this bomb to defuse it, but looks away in time and finds that kill onto NBK. So we have it. Cloud9 are taking this to a 3rd map, and they'll win out map number 2 with a final scoreline of 16-12.
Yeah, I mean, that CT side defense was very, very good. Both teams had really good CT sides. Just G2, I mean, they only won, what, 2 rounds, I think, on that T side?
Yeah.
I mean, and I just, the way they played it, though, was not anything where there wasn't much like late round tactics. They didn't really feel C9 out, see what they were giving them. It was just like a brute force, very scrimmy type of strategy. It just didn't pay off for them at all.
No, it didn't. It took so long to shift away from that Cloud9 had already gotten back control. I think they were like 2 rounds up when we finally saw the pause, and they started to change their play style a little bit. Just seemed to happen far too late, sort of like we've seen with some of our other teams in these past matches as well.
Well, it worked great when they paused. They took their time, and they ended up going back to B on that round. I mean, but Cloud9, their economy was so good, and G2's economy was such in shambles that when they killed all 3 of them and Scott still stayed alive, like that was the perfect way to play that round, because it just put them on another force buy, and then on every force buy where they didn't have the utility, they didn't feel comfortable with any type of slowed down play, and they went right back to that brute force type strategy. And every time they went towards A, Nothing and Shroud just dominated it.
So Cloud9 definitely feeling good about that win, of course, and now they are going to take it over to a third map to decide this matchup here. Now it's definitely going to be a close one, as we've already seen these two teams face off on it, so that'll be coming up in just a few minutes here, ladies and gentlemen. Do be sure to stick around, and right after this short break, we'll have that third map, once again live from the DreamHack Astro Open in Austin. The third map between Cloud9 and G2 are going to be coming up in just a few minutes.